Hey guys, just want to talk about today. It's sad, but there's a couple key points that I did a recent video, and it's it bugs me that what, see, they're not even trying to let me go live. It's crazy. My phone's all jacked up. Do some shout outs. You guys are there. I'm in my house now. Uh, see who's all here first and foremost. Let's do a roll call. Chat able to work. Show live chat. Yeah, chat's able to work. Just want to do a shout out. My heart and my prayers go out to the families of that massacre. And right on, Heather. Thank you. And let me show you something. These are the victims. Going out to a concert, Jason Aldean concert. I was supposed to be in Vegas, but not that weekend. I'm going the end of this month, but not staying at Mandalay Bay. Obviously, staying at the Rio. Anyways, very sad day. You know what happened yesterday. Um, but at the same time, they were, you know, they were doing training or whatever that they had for a shooter. Uh, a while back, they had this plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it? The Homeland Security and all those guys. So it kind of makes you wonder, what's going on in the world. So, makes you think, I'm like, with all the security and they had metal detectors, you mean that guy could walk into the casino and not, you know what I mean? And there was two different rooms, two different windows. You can't tell me that was one room and two windows unless you had like the presidential suite or something like that. You know how much that costs? That costs a lot of money to get. And I think it would be like a top floor type of thing. But it raises a lot of red flags, you know, in my eyes. Um, so I just try to point out the truth. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not saying that those were fake victims. No, those are real people. But there's more truth. This guy never even had a speeding ticket before, and I don't even know. I don't. I just. My, I don't know. I could say some theories that you know he could have. I don't know. Maybe he got brainwashed by the government. Set up like this. I don't know. There was a movie like that, March on Man or something like that, with the Denzel Washington, and it's kind of similar to what happened. It's like, anyways, I want to do a quick live. Um, It just sickens and saddens me that this could happen in Vegas. It happened in Manchester. It happened in, you know, 9/11. Just out of all places though, like, and the dude wasn't even like jihad or anything. It was a terrorist act, obviously, but I don't know. It's weird to me. And then he committed suicide. Uh, had no history of mental illness, supposedly whatsoever. Like I said, he didn't even have a speeding ticket. You know what I mean? Let's go inside for a minute. I want to check something out. You guys bear with me for a minute. I'm going to check the view take on this real quick. If I can set you guys down right here. Oh, yeah. There. Yeah, I can still see me. My phone's all jacked up, dude. The display looks like infrared. It's crazy. Let's see what's going on here. Watch me. Yeah, it's. Oh, yeah, we're live. There we go. Some people up on here. I don't know if everybody got their notifications or not. So I'm just trying to see who's all on here. Shows only 2 people, 1 watching now. Oh. Weird. Hmm. $23 guns in his hotel. There we go. What's going on, guys? Talking about this massacre in Vegas. Very sad. I'm supposed to be there the end of the month. Anyways, so sorry about the pause and stuff like that. I'm just trying to figure out everything here on YouTube with this going live and see how I look on live by my other channel, the Guardians, or Guardians, I should say. 59 dead, 527 injured. Deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. There was guys covering their wives or their girlfriends and taking a bullet for them, and that right there, that's strength. That's what a man should do. Much respect. My prayers, my heart goes out to the ones that lost their lives and their loved ones. I'm very sorry about that. But she said it was well choreographed. Oh, I got two. There we go. I'm gonna shut this off. Back to you guys. Oh. Turn this up real quick. Finally, Congressman, I just want to ask you before we wrap this up. There is a bill that is before the Congress with regards to rolling back restrictions on silencers. A lot of the police officers tell us they were able to hear the muzzle flash from the 30 What else silencer going to do? Silencers, it becomes much more difficult even for the victims to run away. They don't know where the sound of gunfire is coming from. What do you think about that? Well, I'm opposed to that bill. I'm part of the gun violence caucus to try to get some measures done. I hear now the Republicans are pulling that. They may come with it later, but they even realize now it's not the time. Medina Titus, thank you very much, man. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. All right, Rena, that's it from Las Vegas. Back to you. Thank you so much, Bob. Well, Donald Trump is meeting with officials in Puerto Rico. Let's listen in.
President Trump, on the move in a neighborhood in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He's meeting with some of the storm victims there. We're going to continue to monitor this and have the president's comments and interaction as soon as it does take place. We want to turn now again back to Las Vegas in the hope of finding any clues that may explain how and why Stephen Paddock was able to commit this mass murder. As we mentioned, he had a total of 23 weapons just in his hotel room with thousands of rounds of ammunition. 19 additional weapons were found at his Nevada home. CBS News Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues joins me now. Jeff, what's the first priority right now for those investigators on the ground?
Well, still trying to figure out a motive in this mass shooting. And right now, we aren't getting any information from our sources indicating that they are any closer to officially making an announcement that would sort of put that to rest. There was some sort of event that sparked this mass shooting. And so the big question is, of course, this motive that's still unanswered, but what investigators are trying to do is track down people who had contact with him. They're still trying to do that, and specifically this Mary Lou Danley, his companion, his girlfriend, whatever you want to call her. She is out of the country right now. We've heard different stories about where she is. You know, at one point we were being told that maybe she was in Japan somewhere, but now we believe, according to our sources, that she is in the Philippines. So a priority for investigators is getting in a position where they can interview her. Did she know that he was planning something? You talk about the weapons that were found not only in that hotel room, but also in his primary residence in Mesquite, Nevada. So did he know? There are neighbors who say that they had no idea what was happening in that home, but did this companion, this girlfriend, did she know that he was planning this?
Jeff, what if we learned, we know the girlfriend, as you mentioned, but do we know more about his background or even his financial situation?
Well, this is someone who, according to his brother, was wealthy, that he had been successful in business, in real estate. He owned some planes, but he had gone from accountant to professional gambler. So he clearly spent a lot of time in Las Vegas gambling large sums of money. So that's what we know about him and what he was doing with his time. He was a retiree, but he would tell people that his job was a professional gambler.
You know, Jeff, one of the angles of this story that we just can't get over is how many guns he had. We know he had 42 guns between his home and the hotel. Have officials traced any of them? Do they know how he was able to get all these weapons? Was it in a short period? What do we know?
Well, what we're hearing is that these guns were purchased legally. We haven't heard anything to dispute that at this time from our law enforcement sources. But yeah, it seems bizarre to many of us who are covering this story that he could amass these stockpiles of weapons and no one really noticed that this was happening or why this was happening. And some of the questions that we're looking into today, you know, did he go to a gun range to fire some of these weapons? Was he just stockpiling these weapons? So that is a question that we're looking into at this time. And also, when were these purchases of these weapons made? That could be something that is perhaps an indicator that he had something planned. We just don't know yet. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. But investigators are gathering as much evidence as they can, and this is something that we don't talk about often in relation to this investigation, but they have acknowledged that they have some of his electronic devices. Was there a social media footprint? We're not finding one for him. For his girlfriend, yeah, there is evidence of a social media footprint on Facebook. But, you know, what is sort of odd in this day and age is that he didn't have much of a social media footprint as far as we can see.
Yeah. Jeff, I want to ask you one more thing before I let you go. There was something that we've been hearing about called a bump stock device to further enhance his rival. Do you know what that is, and what does it do exactly? Can you explain that to us?
Well, that's a $50 device, is what we're told, that can modify a weapon. For example, turn a semi-automatic rifle into a fully automatic rifle. That's what it does. According to reports, he had a couple of those bump stock devices. And so that is something else that is certainly pertinent to this investigation when you think about the amount of gunshots coming from that hotel room, and by now we've all heard the rat-a-tat-tat of the gunfire raining down on that crowd there, and so those types of bump stock devices, they can allow what was a semi-automatic rifle to fire as a fully automatic rifle and fire up to 800 rounds a minute.
All right, Jeff Pegues, thanks for explaining these to us, Jeff. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Well, President Trump, as we mentioned, is in Puerto Rico today, meeting with first responders and victims of Hurricane Maria. Tomorrow he will head to Las Vegas. Before he left this morning, though, he addressed the horrific shooting.
We'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. I do have to say how quickly the police department was able to get in was really very much of a miracle. They've done an amazing job.
Bob Cusack is editor-in-chief of The Hill. He joins us now. Bob, we heard the president there say we'll address gun control as the time goes by. You know, the NRA put something like $50 million behind Donald Trump to help him beat Hillary Clinton. Do you really see him turning his back on them? Do you think the president will push reforms?
Rena, I don't think so. It is interesting, though, in June of last year, he did back a Democratic effort that has some bipartisan support that if you're on the no-fly list, the terrorist list, that you shouldn't be able to get a gun. But as commander-in-chief, he has not pushed for that change to the law, which is opposed by the NRA. So, no, I just don't. I think there'll be some more talk of changing gun laws, but I don't see. Remember, the Houses and Senate and White House are all run by Republicans, so I just don't see any real movement happening anytime soon on this.
You know, at the same time, you mentioned Republicans, and here's what Speaker of the House Paul Ryan had to say about what Congress can do to prevent shootings.
One of the things we've learned from these shootings is that often underneath this is a diagnosis of mental illness. This is why we spent years working on mental illness reform, Congressman Murphy's bill. And that's why the House of Representatives passed landmark mental health reform just a year ago. That law is now being implemented. So I think it's important that as we see the dust settle and we see what was behind some of these tragedies, that mental health reform is a critical ingredient to making sure that we can try and prevent some of these things from happening in the past. So that's just one example of the things that Congress has done to make sure that we can try and get ahead of these problems.
The Democrats call for gun control. The Republicans pivot to mental health. Bob, is there anything to suggest that both sides will start some sort of constructive or new dialogue on this issue?
I don't. I think that the best chance for any bill to pass was after Newtown in Connecticut, which Republicans know has some very strict gun laws. So I just don't see momentum changing. At the same time, there's a lot of frustration with the public that something must be done, and Congress should do something, whether it's on mental health or guns, because these things keep happening, and they're going to probably continue to happen, unfortunately.
Bob, I do want to ask you about these two gun bills that are moving through Congress right now. There's one that eases restrictions on silencers. The other eases concealed carry across state lines. Do you think now is really a time when Congress can ease those restrictions?
I don't think, certainly not this week and maybe not this month, but these are bills that are backed by the NRA, and certainly some of these bills, including one that could have been voted on this week, it has bipartisan support for Democrats in the House or co-sponsors. So, but I wouldn't look for any of these votes anytime soon. It's just way too sensitive.
Recent CBS News polling found that 54% of Americans believe that gun laws should be more strict. And you look at the flip side of this, 11% said they should be less strict, but also 33% said that they should be kept the same. So when you add the 11% to the 33, you get 44% of the country that more or less don't want the gun laws changed. How do these numbers affect the conversation and the debate on Capitol Hill?
Well, I think they have a big impact, Rena. When you think about Republicans, there are a lot of Republicans and some Democrats too. They don't have to worry about general election candidates. They have to worry about primary challengers. And if your district is gun friendly and is a big backer of the Second Amendment, and you do something like this, we saw with Joe Manchin from West Virginia, conservative Democrat. He was backed by the NRA in his last re-election race, but then he also authored a bill on background checks with Pat Toomey, a Republican from Pennsylvania. we'll see if NRA now backs Manchin, and that's a very powerful endorsement in some parts of the country, no doubt about it.
Meanwhile, I want to ask you about the president in Puerto Rico today, meeting with first responders and also victims of Hurricane Maria. What are you looking closely for this visit and for the president to do while he's on the ground there?
This is a very interesting trip, and unlike trips to other hurricane areas like Florida and Houston, obviously he's gotten in this public feud with the mayor of San Juan. He was praising everybody today, but left her out of the praise that he was doling out to all the first responders and other politicians. So I think that's one to watch. This is he said some very controversial things regarding Puerto Rico and the tweets. He said today that the budget has been out of whack, I'm paraphrasing, because of the storm, and that can be taken in a number of different ways. But I think what he's doing, going down there, is a smart move. He wants to appear presidential, and he's committed to rebuilding Puerto Rico, who had a massive debt problem even before this. This is going to be exponentially worse, and Congress is going to have to do something about that, and the administration as well. So it really behooves both sides, whether politicians in Puerto Rico and the president, to get along, and because this recovery effort, coupled with that debt problem, is going to go on for months.
Yeah, that debt problem is very significant. And, you know, the fact, though, that the president over the weekend attacked critics of the disaster response as politically motivated ingrates, that was his words. Today, he praised the governor, as you mentioned, for not playing politics. So why does he keep bringing this up over and over again?
He always says he's a counterpuncher, and he is, and he definitely felt like the mayor was attacking him personally. And I also think he wants to defend the people who are working for him to improve things. And obviously, it's a very difficult situation. But some say he went too far and it got personal. And that's what a lot of people are saying. This should not be personal. Let's just get focused on remedies. And the mayor was very frustrated. Felt like things were not happening quickly, and that's why she had a public plea to help. And Trump took it as personal criticism.
Bob Cusack, thank you for joining us, Bob.
Thanks, Randy.
Well, during President Trump's visit to Puerto Rico, he will also be meeting with victims still facing those dire conditions. Along with First Lady Melania, he's there to survey the damage nearly 2 weeks after Hurricane Maria devastated the island. This trip also follows widespread backlash over the president's slow response to the island's crisis. David Begnaud joins us now with the latest from San Juan. David, the president we know in Puerto Rico, what's he doing exactly? What's on the rundown for today?
Right now, the president is in Guaynabo, just outside of San Juan. Mr. Trump landed shortly before noon at a National Guard armory here in the capital of San Juan. He met with the governor and praised the governor. As your previous guest said, we also saw him shaking the hand of the mayor of San Juan, Yulene Cruz, who says she accepted an invitation to be there to meet the president. The president also made some comments that drew attention. He referenced his office and budget management director, Mick Mulvaney, as having a conversation about the budget. And Mr. Trump proceeded to say, quote, "I have to tell you, Puerto Rico, you've thrown our budget way out of whack." Now, a little bit of context there. There's about $10 billion in the disaster relief fund, and the estimates are it's going to cost that much for the rebuilding effort here in Puerto Rico, if not more. So the president essentially making a joke, but the White House has already said they plan to go to Congress to ask for billions of dollars more. The president also compared Hurricane Maria to Hurricane Katrina in terms of the death toll. The death toll here in Puerto Rico is 16. The death toll for Katrina in 2005 was roughly 1,800. I'm going to read you a quote from Mr. Trump. We've saved a lot of lives. If you look at every death as a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina and you look at the tremendous hundreds and hundreds of people that died there, you can be very proud. 16 versus literally thousands of people. Everybody around this table and everybody watching can be really proud of what's taken place. End quote. The rest of Mr. Trump's itinerary here in San Juan is unknown. The White House is keeping that off the record. So essentially what happens is there is a media travel pool with the president. And as they get to a location, they announce then where the president is going to be. As of now, we know that the president has surveyed damage. We expect that he may potentially meet with people who have been affected. He is joined, by the way, by the First Lady and other members of his cabinet who have traveled here with him.
David, we also know that over 90% of the country remains without power. About half of the island still doesn't have running water. Any word on how long officials expect that and will continue until the changes are finally made?
that's what's so frustrating, trying to get an answer from officials here. Every day there's a news conference with the governor, and he starts the news conference sort of the same way. We're doing the best we can. We're very thankful for the resources we've been given, but much more is needed. Let me tell you something. Around San Juan right now, there's people outside eating, driving, going back to work, and shopping. It seems like normal life. But when you get about an hour outside San Juan, there are people standing on the side of a mountain sipping from a stream because that's the only water they have to drink. There are store shelves around this island, a majority of grocery stores that don't have the bread and water that they need. I asked the governor today, what more do you need to move this past an emergency situation? And he said something he hasn't said before, which is there may be a communication issue in terms of once the food gets to where it's going, letting the people there know where to find it. So, for example, in the community of Utuado, where people have not had running water or electricity since the height of the storm, one of the hardest hit areas, he's saying that maybe the local mayor there and in other places around the island don't have a way of getting word to the people to come to a certain location and pick up the food. So what are they going to do? The governor said they're going to start using megaphones, going around town and telling people, hey, listen, there's food, water, medicine, and other supplies at this one location, come to it. And in areas in the central part of the island that they can't get to, they're going to use helicopters that have broadcast equipment to tell mass people below where they can find aid. Because we keep hearing from FEMA, Rena, oh, we visited every municipality, but then we keep getting messages from people who said, I haven't seen help in 5 days, 6 days, where is it?
Yeah, David, just to hear you say that megaphones could make a difference, to get the word out is so compelling. You sometimes with these stories, David, it's the extreme resilience that you see. Have you seen any of that in Puerto Rico?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. 2 words I've used to describe Puerto Ricans: resilient and patient. I mean, think about this. It is brutally hot here right now, okay? Only 5% of the island has electricity. People are still waiting in line to get gas. They're waiting in line to get food. There is no drinking water in most places of the island. If you want water, you got to get it from a bottle. If you don't have it, you're out of luck. And that's the situation that the majority of Puerto Ricans find themselves in. 13 days after this storm made landfall, there is still an emergency on this island.
David Begnaud on the ground in San Juan, Puerto Rico. David, thank you. Coming up ahead after the break, U.S. officials ordered Cuban diplomats out of their embassy in D.C. We'll have the latest on the strained diplomatic relationship. Plus,
I'm here today to say to each and every person affected by this breach, I'm truly and deeply sorry for what happened.
former Equifax CEO Richard Smith on Capitol Hill to testify before Congress about the massive security breach that impacted hundreds of millions of Americans. We'll have the very latest. You're streaming CBSN. State Department has ordered Cuba to expel 15 diplomats from the country's embassy in Washington. The decision comes after U.S. officials say 22 American government workers in Havana suffered health attacks that affected their hearing, balance, and vision. Last week, the U.S. cut down its own embassy staff in Cuba by a similar amount. CBS News Radio's Steve Dorsey has been covering this story and breaking news.